Anita's at work today, so I've been let out on my own, and I've come down to Cala Mayor and have a little walk through Cala Mayor, and we'll go off to San Agustin as well, so some of the old stomping ground. Most of the schools actually closed last week, mine included. Students went on their summer vacation. Teachers usually stay behind for a few days to do some meetings. Anita's school must be one of the schools which is actually working longer than any of the others, and she also starts back in August, so she feels a bit hard done to. But I've been let out, so I'm having a little walk here in Cala Mayor, and this is the area where we came to when we first lived on the island, Cala Mayor and San Agustin. You get some lovely views like this one down to the beach of Cala Mayor. Lovely sandy beach down there. Funnily enough, it's not one we actually used, so when we came here we may have visited it once or twice, but it's not a regular place for us to go. Having said that, we did quite soon move to Portals, which is out, and that's the beach that we really consider our beach. The hotel in front of us, nice stone NP up there, the Nixie Palace. Very nice hotel. It was closed for a number of years. It's open now. Quite a nice hotel. It's one where the Real Mallorca football team often stay on the night before a match, so the team get together, they stay in this hotel, and following morning coaches come and pick them up and take them to the stadium. So we've actually been down here and watched the team leave. There may well be a video on YouTube if you want to look it out. That's the Nixie Palace. And now we're coming down into Cala Mayor, and all the bars are still here. They've just changed the name. Just so you're up to date, it is actually only 9:30 in the morning, and it is a Tuesday. It's the 29th of June 2021. Already getting pretty noisy. So there's a few people just out and walk like I am. Later on in the day it'll just be a little bit too hot to walk, so just taking the opportunity to get out now. And perhaps give you a little bit of a news update. I did actually put a news article up this morning. I got up early and was reading the newspaper to find out what's happened to the current restrictions here in Mallorca, and it changes very, very quickly, so you have to keep up to date with what's going on, and being ignorant is unfortunately not an excuse. They expect you to know all of the rules. In Spain they've got a good way of doing that. They publish everything. It's very clearly accessible to everyone, and it's referred to as the bulletin, the official bulletin of Spain, BOE, Bulletin Oficial de España. And in the bulletin you get all the changes in the rules, the laws, anything that government actually decides, all goes into the bulletin, and it's published daily. So today they will be publishing the bulletin which explains what the rules are for the UK travellers to come to Mallorca. Things obviously get leaked, and the Prime Minister himself gave an interview on the radio yesterday and said that travellers from the UK are now going to be required to present a PCR, a negative PCR obviously, or show that they've had 2 vaccines before they will be admitted into Spain. If not, I guess you go into quarantine. So he said 72 hours. But that was clarified a little bit later on. and one of the government ministers explained that it would be 72 hours after the bulletin has been officially published. So once something is published in the bulletin, it becomes a rule, law, regulation that we all have to follow, and it's due to be published today. I looked this morning and there was no sign of it, so I'm not sure what time it actually gets published. But then the newspapers obviously get to know about it, and the only one I could find with the reference to this was El País. Other newspapers had quoted what Sanchez, the Prime Minister, had said. They never actually went into the newer detail. So El País, and El País is a respected Spanish newspaper, also has an English version, so you can read it in English, or you can use the Google Translate and read the original. But the English version has more articles which are pertaining to us, really, to the foreigners. So headline news in the English version is about this new rule that was announced yesterday, and in that article it does say that if you're coming to Mallorca from the UK from Friday, right, so it's not Thursday as everyone was thinking, from Friday the PCR test will be required to be negative, or if you've had the double vaccination, that is also acceptable. The double vaccination though has to have been completed at least 14 days before you travel to Spain. So those are the two things. There was a little bit of confusion because some of the newspapers were suggesting that the UK was now going to follow the same regulations as the EU. That's not quite true. It's almost true, but not quite. For EU travellers, and they will have their COVID passports available from the 1st of July. For the EU travellers, they will be able to present a negative test, not specifically a PCR test. So they can actually use the antigen tests, which are considerably cheaper. So a PCR test here in Mallorca, €75, whereas the antigen test is around about €30. There's quite a big difference, especially if you're traveling with a family. But if you're coming from the UK, it's the PCR test you've got to have, and you need to organise that in the UK. And then obviously when you go back from here, if you're going from here back to the UK, you've got to organise your tests for when you return, and they have to be booked, and you're supposed to show them before you depart, otherwise you can't get on the plane. So this is Cala Mayor beach, and yeah, it's now nearly 9:45, and there's already quite a few people here. This is the closest beach to Palma on the west side, and it does get very, very popular. In a few instances recently, the beaches had to be closed just because it's got too crowded. It's not in that condition today. It's a lot of people here, but still plenty of room for more to come down, and I'm sure they will be later on. We've got the lifeguards, the SOS over here, all getting set up. There's no flags up yet, not quite, but it looks very calm. This is quite often a surfing beach, so the surfers come here when the wind's in the right direction, and they go off surfing. Nice sandy beach here in Cala Mayor. Just on the hillside over there is the King's Palace. It's where the King of Spain comes for his summer holidays, and that's actually right across the road from my school. So I actually look down into his garden from my laboratory. But just like all the beaches here, it's very well kept, and good swimming. At least it is today. It's nice and calm. So we'll make our way back up and have a look, see what else is going on in Cala Mayor. The Spanish government really had to do something about the UK travellers coming to Mallorca, because the rest of Spain, the rest of Europe were actually saying, why are you allowing the UK to come with no restrictions whatsoever when they've got one of the highest numbers of cases in the whole of Europe. So Germany, France, Italy have already put the UK on the equivalent of their red list. And they wanted Spain to do the same. Well, Spain's very reluctant to do that from an economical point of view, because we rely a lot on tourists coming from the UK. So Spain's answer to that was really, let's test them. Also a little bit promoted by the fact that we had a big problem last week. Because it was end of the school year, lots of students who'd finished the year like to go on a holiday, and I really don't know how this got organised, but thousands came from the mainland of Spain to Mallorca, the Bougainvillea. If Anita was with us, she'd be pointing this out. She's got classes today, unfortunately. These are figs. I do know some plants. Anita knows a lot more. Well, I'm going to go up some steps now, so I'm going to just turn the camera off while I go up the steps. Here we are in Cala Mayor. Up here. This block we're looking at now, relatively new block, and behind that is Villa Barraca, which used to be part of the school I used to teach at. The building in front used to have a sign on it which said Baleares International School. We've got some netting over it at the moment, and it looks as though that sign will now disappear forever. And this building used to be the Salvation Army. You still see the cross up there. They had to have, used to have 2 apartments up there, and that's where they held their meetings. So getting back to the students who came last week, they came in their thousands and had a very good time from all parts of Spain. And when they were here, they were having, they referred to as botellón. So you take a bottle and you go to the beach, or you go to some place where great big groups of you will have a party. And then there was also one that was organised at the bull ring, and thousands of students went to the bull ring, had a big party. It seemed to get a little bit out of hand. Some of the neighbours were complaining. No social distancing, no wearing of masks. The police were called, and there's still an ongoing case, I think, concerning that. But the outcome was many of these students returned to the mainland, to their homes, and on their return they were tested, and very quickly these individual areas of Spain started to see spikes. So in places like the Basque Country in the north of Spain, in Madrid, in Valencia, in Alicante, all of these places started to see spikes. And when they started to do the tracing, all the cases seemed to originate from Spain, from Mallorca. And they were all part of this student group. So, first report said 500 positive cases, then 600, then 700, then 800, and now I'm seeing reports saying 1,000 positive cases. And these have all come from one event here in Mallorca. Not only have they got the positive cases, they're people are being traced who were actually on the trip with these people, and they've been told to go into quarantine. So you can understand the government getting nervous if you're suddenly going to get 1,000 cases. Thankfully, I suppose it's young people, and young people don't suffer so much from the COVID. But these young people have got parents and grandparents who may or may not have had their doses, or in many cases will have had one dose, therefore not fully vaccinated. And even if they have had both vaccines, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to get it again, and how seriously that is. So the government really doesn't want that sort of publicity, and certainly doesn't want to have those cases, because here in Mallorca the number of cases has obviously jumped a lot as well. Hotel workers have all had to be tested, people working in the hospitality sector around there have to be tested, and it doesn't seem to be that there's a lot of cases from them. It seems to be largely the students who were involved. But huge numbers in a very short period of time. I suppose over the next few days we'll hopefully see those numbers drop as dramatically as they rose, but we have to wait and see that. There has also been something of an increase in the ICU, and they definitely don't want to see that. So I didn't say, but we're now in San Agustin. Cala Mayor and San Agustin run into each other. We've just gone over the hill, and we went past Pepe's Corner. At least that's what we know it as. So there used to be a bar up there called Pepe's Bar. It's been gone for a long, long time. And I'm just walking down through San Agustin. If you're in the shade, it's actually quite pleasant to walk. If you're in the sun, it does get quite warm. Back to the students. Some of them have been tested here and shown positive. I think it's about 240, 250 of them now have to go into quarantine. And the government here in Mallorca some time ago said that anyone who contracts COVID or has to quarantine because of COVID in Mallorca will be put up in a special hotel, referred to as a COVID hotel, and for whatever period of time that needs to be, at the expense of the Mallorcan government, and should I say the Mallorcan taxpayer. So these 240, 250 students are at the moment being put up in these hotels, one of which is on the Paseo Maritimo, right in the middle. It's must have some fantastic views, but they're virtually prisoners there. They really can't do anything. They're not supposed to mingle, they're not supposed to leave the room. Food and drink has to be taken to them, and they're obviously not very happy about that. One of the parents is trying to sue the local government for imprisoning their child, because some of these are teenagers, some of them are less than 18 years old, so they've been taken without their parents' permission. At least that's their argument. And the local government have said that we need to quarantine them, and at the moment the minister is supporting them, saying that's fine, yes, you're supposed to quarantine if you've got COVID or if you are in contact. So parents don't, because they're going to get very far with that. But it is a lesson learned, and I'm sure the local government and the national government could see the potential of something like that to happen. If you get a lot of people coming from the UK, where cases are already really high compared with the rest of Europe, and many of them would be young people going to places like Magaluf, where the young people would not have had the vaccines, and under the old rules would not have even been tested, so they could have been coming here bringing the virus with them, and in the confines of Magaluf it would spread very, very quickly. So it's a bit of a relief, I think, to the hotel workers, a bit of a relief to the people who work in any hospitality of any sort. They've got to come into contact with these people. They want to know that they're not going to be catching any of these diseases. So this is the little beach in San Agustin. It's only a very little sandy beach. I need to go down there sometimes as a little walk around. And this is the port of Calanova. It used to be referred to as the Royal Port of Calanova. I can't see any indication of that other than there's some royal signs up at the top. We'll just go and have a little look down there. Let's have a little look from the top to start with. The reason it was referred to as the Royal Port is because the King used to come and do some of his sailing from here, both the present King and the previous King, and it has a sailing school. There's a nice restaurant down there. Not a big port, no really mega yachts here, mainly smaller craft and little sailing dinghies for the students to practice on. For a time, a friend of mine, Lou Raval, used to have his gym here. I used to go to the gym. I know you wouldn't believe it. Yes, I used to go to the gym when Lou had his gym there. It was a nice place to come. Royal Club Nautico Calanova. Let's carry on a little bit. So you can go down, and this is the bar, watch the boats, which people practice the sailing. There's a little park there, very well shaded park for children, and just at the top of there is the old BIS. So any students that are watching will remember this particular area, and the bar down there is now called Mojo Beach. It wasn't Mojo Beach before. It's where many of our students used to meet up. Later again would be pointing out all the beautiful colours in the trees, flowers. Very impressive villa across the road. Used to be owned by the kindergarten teacher at BIS. She and her sister own that. A very, very impressive building. And she used to drive around in a yellow Jeep. And she used to take whole groups of kindergarten children down there to play in her swimming pool. So of course it's a long, long time ago. And before we were so concerned about health and safety. Far across the road used to be the port of call. Changed. Go to his art gallery. Now the charity shop where there used to be an estate agent. And have the same number of charity shops here in Mallorca as there are in the UK, but we do have some. And there's the Calanova Cancer Care charity, which we try to support. Bakery over the road has been there for as long as we've been on the island. I don't think that's changed very much. I'm just walking past Calanova. But like many places, a lot of the shops are empty. Walk around here so you can see a different view. Calanova. People working on the boats, getting ready to take them out. There's even one over here. It's on its travel lift. Take them out of the water and then move them around. Do a little repair work we need to do. And then put them back in the water again. And now we're looking back towards Cala Mayor and Marivent, and in the very distance the King's Palace. Carry on walking a little bit further around. Giant step to climb up here. Anita would be saying, be careful, be careful. I'm listening. I'm sure she's enjoying her last day. Having lived in this area for such a long time, this little alleyway down here came as a recent discovery. Quite a few weeks ago now, we came down here. Where does it go? Somewhere we've never actually ventured. And it does look a little bit scary. And Anita's saying, be careful of the steps. There's a lot of them, and they're not in very good condition. There's this little alleyway. You keep wondering where you're going, and then you start to see the boats, and it's okay, that's nice, we can walk by the boats and have a look at what's going on. But then the path continues. And where it's going, people doing the work on the boats. Smell the lacquer paint. A few more steps, and curiously there's a trick point. Didn't notice that before. Stone there marked trigonometric point. It's where surveyors will actually measure from. Come round here, the path continues. It's changed a little bit, but continues. We see a lot of rocks in front of us. That's actually a sea wall. And we're now at the end of the port. And down this side, we're right by the sea. And until this year, we didn't even know this existed. So this is very new to us. If you want somewhere nobody seems to know about, this is it. There's nobody down here today. When we came before, there was actually a man camping down here, but his tent. But if you don't like sand, there's a lot of area there where you can actually put your towel, or I need something a little bit more comfortable than that. Not bad. And if you've got a boat, there's a little bit of a landing here. The sea's beautifully clean. Definitely nearly time for us to go for our first swim of the year. Just looking over that way to Illetas, and the hotel's over there. Aeroplane in the distance just coming in. Something we've not seen very many of. Usually at this time of the year they'd be stacked, so there'd be one aeroplane coming in after another. So there's one coming in there, and then 2 minutes behind it there would be another one coming in. We're still not seeing that volume of traffic. Yeah, but I'm thinking it will increase considerably over the next week or two. We do need to see what's going to happen. The UK. Already lots of Germans here, and lots of French, Dutch, and all sorts of other nationalities. Polish, Northern Europeans. I'm just going to make my way back up to the road. I'll just turn the video off now. Actually, before I do that, because Anita likes her flowers, we actually noticed some cactus flowers the other day. Here we've got some lovely flowers on these cactus. Prickly pears. Making our way towards Illetas a little bit more. This area is known as Cas Català. So, up the hill there, housing estate. Actually some very nice houses up there. Years gone by, the British consul used to live up there. We were going for dinner at his house once. As we come around here, we have access to the beach. So the next little beach along is called the Bugalia Beach. And there's actually a little restaurant on the beach. And that takes you down to the beach. I'll go down the other entrance. The man delivering his beer or something. And this is one of the beaches that we'll come to, I'm sure, in the next week or two. And usually, the time we come, we can park on the road here. That's where this car's leaving now. We park there, and then this is where you go down the beach. Many of the beaches around here have got lifts to help those that are not so able to get down the steps. It's a nice little sandy beach, and we've got the Illetas beach bar down there as well. So when you're ready for a nice cool beer, you can do that. When we had the shop across the road, it was one of the places for us to come for lunch. We used to sit there in the shade and just watch the world go by. Nice view here. My little camera, zoom in and have a look to see who's on the terraces at the Marisol Hotel. So that's the Illetas beach bar. Carry on this way round. This is a new cafe. Illetas. So we do takeaways. And the next area on is Illetas. Temperature's riding, and so I'm actually going to leave it at this point, and I'll make my way back. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, don't forget to subscribe, and please share it with your friends, particularly if they're interested in this area. And hopefully Anita will be back with me for the next video. Bye for now.